At Belmont Ridge, we have multiple teachers implementing blended learning in order to provide a more personalized learning experience to our students. Today, we will visit 4 of those classrooms. This is Mrs. Deepro's Math 7 class. Students are working independently through a playlist of activities. They move at about the same pace, finishing specific tasks by a certain date, but do have flexibility on how much time they spend on specific activities. Mrs. Steepro uses Vision to house the playlist for students.
The initial content delivery is usually in the form of a video. Then students do online practice, followed by pages in their teacher-created workbook. If a student gets stuck, they can re-watch the video, ask for help from their neighbor, or request help from the teacher. After they watch the video and complete practice, they complete a formative assessment, typically an eye test. Based on that data, they either move on independently or work one-on-one with Mrs. Deepro for better understanding. I'm available to answer their questions quickly, provide one-on-one intervention to remediate or enrich, and help students plan so that they can achieve their goal in a timely fashion. Students who move on quickly can begin the next unit or do enrichment activities. Students who work at a slower pace do not feel left behind and are able to master the material before leaving it. I find they do this by the expected completion date because I have more opportunities to work with them one-on-one and meet their specific needs.
This is Mr. Kelly's 7th grade science classroom. Mr. Kelly began implementing blended learning lessons during the spring semester. His last unit was fully blended. Mr. Kelly uses the station rotation model. Students are placed in flexible groupings depending on the activities planned for the day and the formative assessments. The rotations usually follow the design of 3 different stations: teacher small group station, collaborative station, and independent or partner station.
So I'm using blended learning in my classroom now. When it was first introduced to me, and Elizabeth will tell you this because she's standing right here, I was completely against it. I had the way I taught my class for 10 years, but actually now after receiving the data both formatively and summatively from my test I gave last week, the students score even better than my previous lessons in previous years. So the way my class went is I had a 3-station rotation, and sometimes that changes. Sometimes we do flex model, but the 3 stations is what I had to start with. So one of my stations is a teacher-led. They're usually working on a pre-assessment or assessment of some type. It could be a formative. And as they're taking that formative, I have time to talk to my other 2 tables and make sure they understand the directions, make sure they understand the goal of the activity. And then the purpose of the teacher-led group is when they're done with that formative, I can go over it, I can answer questions with a group of 7 or 8 instead of a group of 26. I'm able to answer any misconceptions. If they go through everything at a high level, I'm able to ask to the group questions that will expand and make their thinking at a higher level. And then when you're done meeting with that group, you start with the group that needs the most remediation, and they go off to the other groups ready to learn. Whereas the second and third time you meet with those students, they've done the other activities, which will give them a broader base for that station as well.
Hi, I'm Donna Raffensperger, and this is my Math 6-7 Accelerated Math class. I'm using the blended learning classroom model. We actually have a flipped classroom. I also use the flex model. I allow my students to work primarily through online content. I do this by putting videos on Vision that they can go back and look through and learn the new topic from. They also can, at the end of the topic, use the videos to go back and relearn the content if they have questions. I also have students who are working ahead at their own pace. They have completed the Math 6-7 curriculum 6 weeks ago and are currently working on Algebra 1 concepts. So they are working in an individual curriculum well advanced of the class. While in class, I pull students into individual groups. Students are either working on interactive achievement to assess their understanding, or listening to videos to relearn something of instructional content, or they're students that are actually a little bit behind. For the students that are a little behind, I pull them off into smaller groups, and I'm able to work with them one-on-one since I have my other students separated into groups, and they're kind of learning by using other methods. So by going into a blended classroom, I've been able to split my class into thirds basically, and that allows me every day to be able to work with 8 to 10 students one-on-one.
This is Mrs. Demendez's 7th grade science class. Like Mr. Kelly, she's implementing the rotation model. During this unit, they are also implementing a project-based learning approach.
We started this unit by introducing an authentic problem to the students. They were given the task of discovering a new animal and then writing an article to be published in an online scientific journal. This is authentic because it is the work real scientists do every day. We looked at authentic examples of such activities and then provided students with a template of the article they are to write. The information for the article is provided in a Sway, an online presentation that students can access from school or at home. They have time in their rotations to work on different aspects of their article every day. The articles are in Google Classroom, which allows me to check in on their progress. I can give them feedback, help with pacing, or address any misconceptions they might have.
I'd like to thank Mr. Kelly, Mrs. Steepro, Mrs. Demendez, and Mrs. Raffensperger for allowing us in their classroom to see what kinds of opportunities they're taking to personalize learning for their students.